Let's rock, baby.
When I think about Devil May Cry, the first word that springs to my mind is hype. I still remember sticking in the demo disc into my PlayStation 2, and it blowing me away, combining the creepy vibes of survival horror with fast, flashy combat. And yeah, fail Resident Evil 4 pitch aside, what director of this project, Hideki Kamiya, and his crew, the cheekily named Team Little Devils, achieved here is not only the birth of a genre that would later become a constant in my life, but it pushed the medium as a whole. We start this tale with a fiery text dump about a legendary Dark Knight known as Sparda, who apparently 2 millenniums ago stood up to the legions of hell.
But somebody from the underworld woke up to justice and stood up against this legion.
He seems like a nice chap. Then we smash cut to a mysterious woman spawning from the moon, and no, this isn't the Suda51 game, who then rudely crashes through the front door of our demon hunting protag's shop for a spot of tea and impalement. After Dante juggles a fucking motorcycle with gunfire, it turns out our femme fatale, Trish, isn't here to harm our lead, even though she just blatantly did. No, she's here to ask for his help in putting an end to the underworld. Oh, and she's a dead spit for his mother, who 20 years ago was killed alongside his brother by a demon called Mundus, who so happens to be shacked up on a castle on a mysterious island. So of course our hero goes to get himself some revengeance. And yeah, that's a lot of exposition. And to be fair, when it's paired with all this ridiculousness, it does do the job well, if slightly wordy. But damn, look at this castle. The Eurogoth vibes are off the charts here, and I fucking love it. It brings such a unique feel to this game. And I just love how it's a hodgepodge of continental architecture, with everything having this dramatic flair. And honestly, if you squint your eyes, you could see this being a Castlevania game in an alternative dimension. Okay, the original idea for Dante was not this swishy-haired fuckwit, but some bloke called Tony. Hey! Please don't cancel me. Okay, memes aside, the opening of the game post-juggling to catties is okay. Granted, I love the build-up, but the first monsters you face, while once again are artistically on point, they kinda suck. Oh sure, if these marionettes do manage to attack you, they will wreck your shit, especially if they're in groups. And while you do have a dodge roll, it's kind of jank, because you have to hold the R1 button to lock onto the nearest target to do so. And without parries and other shit that we're accustomed to now, the initial difficulty of DMC1 is quite startling. And I quickly found out what the game is trying to imply is that the best defense is to go gonzo mode on everyone. I mean, you can't be hit if your enemy is already dead, right? And I love that. It gives no fucks but also wants you to be just as nasty. It's certainly a mood. Another thing that I adore, but was a bit rough to go back to now, is the fixed camera angles. Sure, this was a staple of survival horror at the time, and for the most part they never get in the way here. However, the way you control Dante, unlike his tank control brethren, is with 8-way directional movement, which is great, as you can move towards your enemy and move out of the way of them quickly, but this freedom of movement doesn't jive well with the jaunty angles, especially when they cut to a new one. And with the majority of the game being in tight rooms or corridors, you may see our hero do a little pirouette as the direction you are pushing now goes into a different direction. And yeah, I know this is a boring complaint. That has been a thorn in the side of this style of game for decades. But yeah, it still makes my brain itch. Look, just let me have this one, okay? And unlike its foundations, another departure is the level-based progression. Instead of traipsing around a bougie mansion flicking every doorknob like a frustrated maid, Devil May Cry is a straight A to B affair, with a break to save your game, and spend your red orbs that you get from killing dudes on upgrades and items. But level 2 is when the game starts to get into the swing of things, and of course Dante just can't pick up a weapon and use it. No, it has to jump off the wall and spike him through the chest. Now, I could try and explain how he can slip through this impalement, including the hilt, but my guess is... edgy anime boys are liquid? Look, just shut up and watch this. Hell yeah. While this new blade is far more powerful than his default, it also allows us to use the Devil Trigger, where Dante goes full sicko mode with enhanced damage and health regen. And as you can tell from what I said earlier, you're gonna need it. Because if you thought the Muppet Show in massive numbers can chop you down, the foes you face past this point have no mercy. Also, the Devil Trigger, especially in this game, is grossly overpowered. And you know that item shop I mentioned earlier? Yeah, ignore most of this and invest your orbs in increasing your DT gauge and health. Also pick up the air raid ability that makes Dante turn into a flying Tesla coil, and congratulations, you just won the game. And sure, I'm being hyperbolic here. And honestly, I think the balance between power fantasy and getting your shit pushed in is just right here. Okay, there's a few times when something lunges at you in a cutscene, which is a bit cheap, but overall, when I did cark it, I felt that it was mostly down to me being careless or greedy over any other cheap bullshit. And speaking of air raid, while guns are not the priority, I love how they're used here, as either an exclamation point to end a combo, especially if you're using the shotgun, or a way to close the gap to get into melee range. Granted, once again, firing weapons is a bit weird here, because just like dodge rolling you have to hold R1 to do it, which now I assume is a holdover from the survival horror gameplay mindset. So while it feels good to feel something with lead before giving it some steel, you can still feel the chasm between the two. They're not quite meshed together yet, like in later games, where you can slash, blast and shit yourself without a thought or care in the world. Or if you're a cheap bitch, like me, once you get hold of the grenade launcher, which refills the sizable chunk of your Devil Trigger with each subsequent hit, you can give the combo system, the big fat big one, and just spam electric bolts and explosives to your own sick amusement. And yes, my penis is tiny. And I love that you're not penalised for how you want to play. If you want to get sweaty and learn the intricacies and get those S ranks, you can. If you want to play it as a meat-headed shooter, sure. Go nuts! The priority here is the fun, and this is where the fighting game part of DMC starts to shine, as you can just get by with slapping the buttons, but if you want to, and I hate to say this, get good, well my friend, that is going to require motivation. Also, you may have noticed that I'm not talking much about the story. Well, that's because the story between the start and the finish isn't really here, and there's not much of note. Oh yeah, we do get the odd encounter with a big bad that says stuff. If you can actually work out what this spicy spider is fucking saying. But you do get accosted by this blue-suited mook who... Wait, do you hear that? It sounds like a storm approaching. Provoking. Like black clouds of isolation. But yeah, the story is whatever to the very end. And these boss fights are mostly okay. Like our mumble-mouth friend here, or the pissed-off pigeon, and of course Neo Angelo, who sounds like an R&B crooner from 2003, are all perfectly fine. They have their fun loops and patterns that you avoid, and in the end it kept my grey matter greasy. But the blob, on the other hand, fucking sucks. Not only will you spend all your time trying to expose his glowing bollock weak spot, he just spawns a ton of annoying shit at you that you can't really counter without getting hit. And that's not including the move, if you get too close, where he swallows you up. And then you have to run around for like 5 minutes killing skeletons before fighting a mini boss fight, to then be shat out, and this boss just sucks, honestly. I don't like it in the slightest. It may not be structurally bad, but it's just laborious. And this might have been fine in a Resident Evil game. Christ, we fought many blobs in that fucking series. But here it just clashes with the high movement stuff, which leads us to the platforming, and the platforming is awful. And if you thought the camera angles with the 8-way movement was a bitch on the ground, once you try to hop onto platforms without any way of gauging if you're going to hit the damn thing, this just becomes a trial of irritation. Luckily there isn't any parts in this game where you need to make a series of well-timed jumps, and thank fuck for that. But there were moments when I was playing when I thought I had the pattern down, but then the game just fucks out and I just go flying again. And sure, you can unlock a double jump, and Dante has a wall jump by default, which makes the platforming slightly more tolerable. But yeah, I don't like this aspect. I don't know why they put it in here. Yeah, it's great for variety, but it's just really jank. That being said, these complaints here are all growing pains. Sure, there were action games before Devil May Cry, but what was being made here was the devs in real time crawling out the primordial soup of one rigid level design and making their own thing, which would later influence an entire genre moving forward. So while it's easy to complain about this stuff, I'm actually in awe how put together this first outing is. Sure, it was a game hammered out with tools made for a different application entirely, but there was always something about Devil May Cry 1 that made me go back and beat it every couple of years. Oh shit, sorry, I was going to talk about the story, but once again I was too busy gushing about everything else, apart from the platforming. And like I said at the start of this screed, while the intro is stacked to the gills with story, for the next few hours DMC is more about its moment-to-moment stuff, rather than concerned with, you know, ending the underworld. Which, yes, to the surprise of no one unless you're second screening this shit, Angelo is Dante's brother, Virgil, and he loves a steady diet of high explosives. Okay, he's nowhere near what he will become later on, and I guess he lacks motivation, hahaha memes, but I gotta admit he does look pretty cool. And it also turns out that Trish, you know, the mysterious moon girl who looks like Dante's mother, is, drumroll please, evil! See, I told you there was malice to this meeting. Yeah, she was created by Mundus to fuck with Dante's head, and in the final encounter with the blob monster, please God just make it stop, she reveals her true colours, by turning on him mid-fight. The fight where she can't get past this force field. Yeah, she didn't plan this through. But then, oh no, she becomes a damsel in distress, as this pillar is about to fall on her and turn her into a bratty paste. But no, Dante saves her. And also, why is the music having a moment right now?
Dante! Dante, why did you save my life?
Because you look like my mother. Now get out of my sight. The next time we meet, it won't be like this.
Dante!
Don't come any closer, you devil!
Okay, this has to be a humiliation kink or something, right? If the next scene has one of them being stuck in a wash machine and the other has to... You know what? I'm not going to even finish this sentence. But this final stretch in the underworld looks fucking cool. It's all organic and gross and slimy, and the way it flops around and shit when you move through its corridors is really off-putting. It's like a body horror spin on a Metroid Prime level. It's fucking great. And once you get past that, it's time to square off with our foe. But before Dante gets sucker punched by Mundus, Trish jumps in front of the bullet, which causes Dante to go postal and go all Space Harrier on his ass. Yeah, I remember this confusing the hell out of me back in the day, but now it kind of raises stakes in this silly action game. Anyway, after another phase of shooting his ding-dong with fireballs until he hits the deck, our hero rushes to his step matriarch. And oh, shut up, shut up.
My mother risked her life for me. And now you, too. I should have saved you. I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Fuck yeah, Dante, tell him how it is. Oh god, all my gripes with DMC just melt away with this kitschy soap opera bullshit. Sure, I probably hate this crap as an edgy teen, but now I'm a sucker for this goofiness. But just like his zombie-infested brethren, the ending is not the end, and Dante must escape the island before it blows up. But oh no, Mundus is still alive, and yeah, who fucking cares? Let's just zap his ass and get out of here. But it turns out that Dance isn't strong enough to kill him. So Trish comes back from the dead, I guess continuity's completely out the window by now, who gives him her power. So he can finally polax this dolt back into the cum realm, aka the reboot, and before Trish and our red-coated stud cross the chasm of good taste, they are cockblocked by a seaplane, which they use to escape, and later Dante reopens his business, now called Devil Never Cry. Yeah, probably could have workshopped that a little bit more, mate. And we see our dynamic duo one more time, as they run off to slay more demons ever after. I fucking love this game. Sure, it's a compromise between one genre to this new one, but the way they overlap while janking places is such a fun ride. Sure, if you've never played DMC1 but are versed in character action / spectacle fighters, good golly, we need a better name for this shit, this might be too archaic for you. But Devil May Cry is a solid game on its own, and while it may be mechanically slim, the presentation carries it well. And yes, it did indeed fill my dark soul with light! So that's my quote edgy takes on Devil May Cry. Stay tuned for part 2 while I tolerate the sequel, cause yes, we are taking a look at the entire series. But for now, go away.